And this is Jill.
Hi, everybody. This is Jill. Sena and I are the Detox Girls.
Yes.
Welcome to our Tuesday Live.
Yes.
Welcome to Clayton, founder of Root. He joined us as well.
To make things a little more feminine, they brought me along for entertainment purposes.
Yep. You have the highlights.
Yeah, I saw your lives this morning. Your hair's looking good.
It was good. I need my work done. I haven't seen my my stylist in months now. I feel a little bit broken, actually. So thanks for having me.
So sweet.
I think we've got some cool stuff to hit on. So
we do.
Today. So we're just going to start with the disclaimer really quick.
Yep.
Just hi everybody. We are the Detox Girls, and we have Clayton here, and we are bringing you entertainment, information, and knowledge just about everyday health issues, how the body works, physiology. But we are not medical doctors. We do not claim to cure, treat, prevent illness or disease. If you have any questions medical wise, you should definitely contact your physician, because that's who's treating you. And we are just here for some entertainment today. And man, do we have some entertainment today. This is just blowing me away. I attended yesterday's video where Caroline came on. She's a naturopath, and she had some amazing live blood analysis for us. And we just knew, my dog can hear the Zoom doorbell.
Her mascot.
Yeah. So, but she had some amazing live blood analysis for us. And when we saw it, Shanna and I knew that had to come over into the group, and we had to share it with our community. We had to. This is just, it's amazing.
Yes.
So I'm really excited. And Clayton's going to be sharing his screen today with us as well.
Yeah, that's why we're on Zoom instead of in the Detox Girls. This is recorded. It will be posted in the Detox Girls today after the syncing and everything goes through. We're going to be talking today about, and that's one reason why we were so excited. We're going to be talking today about how to structure your blood, because that was some of the most exciting things that I have learned this week. I didn't know it was possible, but we have clinical evidence that it is. So that's what we are here to do today.
Yes.
Wait a minute. You can make your blood healthier?
Mm-hmm.
But if your blood is healthier, does that mean you are going to become healthier?
Yes.
What if you become more energetic? What would happen?
Ooh, what if you became less ill feeling? What if your symptoms went away?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
so here's the fun question, because of really talking with Caroline yesterday and last week, and then when she sent me some pictures over the weekend, not inappropriate pictures, actually fragment pictures, which are like porn to me. Actually, it's like, oh, this is exciting. That she qualified it. She's like, look, I'm a naturopath. I've been doing this for 20 years. I'm really healthy. Here's my blood 10 minutes after taking Cleanslate. And I took some imagery of what Cleanslate looks like under not a scanning electron microscope. We could probably go over that too if you want, which is probably likely. But looking at a dark field view of what the fragments look like, and as we're probably going to go over a little bit, she's in 20 years never seen anything do what these little guys do, and never seen anything look like what these guys look like under a dark field microscope. So,
right.
Yes.
Happy Tuesday, everyone.
Hello. Maybe we could start by talking about what does it mean because I had never heard of it before. So what does it mean to structure your blood? And why can you structure your blood? So
your blood's a transportation medium, right? That's the big thing. It's designed to have your red blood cells deliver oxygen. You have your white blood cells and such. That it is the primary delivery mechanism for nutrients and such through the body, right? As a thing. And some things get in your bloodstream now that aren't supposed to be in there, and sometimes things that shouldn't be in your body are injected into your body to get into your bloodstream, which causes chaos as well, which we're probably going to look at. But the big thing is to look at that transportation medium, and you can think of it like this highway. If you wanted to quote a very wise man from the past that lives in Tennessee in a huge house and talks about global warming, you could say the information superhighway of the body, right? We have the internet of things that flows amongst us. And the key is we're not all the same. And if you think of your bloodstream like a highway, you have times where traffic is moving very, very smoothly. You have, times where, the flow of traffic is good. You have times where there's accidents. You have times where there's congestion. You have times where there's disruption and chaos. And you can, the nice part is now we can watch that on our screen as we're driving to see where there's traffic delays. But what's most important in your blood work is you can through live blood cell analysis, which is something that's been used for decades. I remember, growing up when I was 7, 8, 9 years old, being in the clinic with my parents, and I'd sit under the microscope in the lab with my mom, and usually my dad was busy, but I would look at blood samples, I'd look at fecal samples, and for those of you who don't know fecal samples, that's poo, not boo, poo, and same, but different. And I'd look at blood, right? And you'd look at blood samples for dogs or cats, that would come in with different issues, sometimes healthy, sometimes not. And you could see little parasites in there. You can see what healthy red blood cells look like. And you can see what unhealthy blood cells look like. And the technology of blood analysis and live blood, which is basically taking, a prick of your finger and putting it on a slide. So looking at it as it is live immediately and putting it on a slide and then watching how that blood behaves, watch what it looks like, right? So, and there's different things to look for. And we'll look at some of these images that your blood each red blood cell should be really plump and it should be able to move really well. And one of the important things is the zeta potential, or the membrane energetics, but also just the membrane itself, should be really thick, should be solid, because you hear people. I was watching a couple videos this morning and reading some literature, and people were talking about the importance of membrane efficiency and how the membranes of your body, like your skin is a membrane, but your red blood cells are so important. And it's so when you look at the energy, that you have to get down to the basics, right? That if you look at a red blood cell, and some people think, oh, that's the basis of who we are, and it's not. That's a carrier mechanism. That if you dive deeper, what you find is that eventually you're going to get to light. We are light. Mm-hmm. But what's cool now is that through dark field microscopy, which a lot of what you can see behind me, it's kind of fitting today that I have a dark screen behind me, because by using a dark field microscope, which basically puts a dark background behind the microscope light, so you have a frame of reference and you can see what these red blood cells look like. And what we've also found is that you can see how crystals might show up differently in a dark field microscope, that they might perform a little differently because of their polarity and how they function. So what's most important is knowing that we are light, that we are energy. We produce a massive amount of energy, depending upon how you look at it. We are a massive battery. You can also look at it that we are quantum. We are the greatest quantum computer ever made. We are yet to really touch our true potential. We're not even close. It's been inhibited, right? We've been polluted and made toxic, whether it's through our pineal gland to keep us, from having our primary antenna being connected to our primary source, right? To be able to download information, to have our spiritual center of our brain calcified, so we're not connected to our true source. These same toxins, chemicals, pollutants have been put into us as negative antennas to resonate with negative frequencies. These same toxins disrupt cells, right? They disrupt your red blood cells. They make them malform. They make them malfunction. Sometimes they'll coin, or they'll rouleau, which we'll probably look at an image of. Sometimes they become abnormal because of what you've been injected with, and they become spiky and unhealthy. And what's really, really important to understand through this process is your cells communicate. They energetically communicate with one another. So when you have cells that become abnormal, if your body is not in balance, if you're not healthy, right, your cells will have abnormal cells that become persistent, right? They don't die like they're supposed to through apoptosis or programmed cell death. they'll start telling healthy cells to be like them.
Yep.
And that creates chaos.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can look at the inflammatory responses. And this really plays into some of the stuff that's going on now with what people are choosing to have injected into their bodies and the ramifications that that's having because of the inflammation response it creates, the chaos it creates in your bloodstream, the stacking, the coining, the rouleau of having your red blood cells conglomerate, right, and stick together. They become sticky. Well, what happens? That's called clotting. That's where embolisms, strokes, death come in. You want your cells to be able to come together, but not combine. They should be plump and beautiful and glowing and should bounce off one another and flow. And we're going to look at some of that. So hopefully that was a really long answer to a short question that was a little bit entertaining.
I think it's important for to understand that our blood cells, or the membranes of our cells, are negatively charged. So they are meant to repel each other. So I think it's very interesting that as we get into the slides and as we see what Caroline picked up in her experience is that whenever the cells clump together, they are no longer, are they surrounded by these heavy metals and things that change their charge that cause them to attract each other instead of repel and stay healthy. I think that's really, really important when we talk about antenna and everything that what the environmental toxicity does to our cells, even on the outside. That's not talking about what's going on the inside.
Absolutely. So where do you want to go?
Oh, I think we need to start with some pictures.
Yeah.
So let's have fun with photos here. Let me see if we do this. The first one that we can look at, should we go before blood? And so this is blood of a healthy naturopath.
We don't see it yet. It's still your folder.
Oh, hold on. Well, I want to stop share there. I want to share here. You can hold shift. There we go. Now we're cooking with gas. So here's the behavior of what healthy cells look like in a healthy naturopath.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, they look cool. They're plump. They're moving a little bit. You can see some microbes and some different stuff in her bloodstream, which is good because there's always little guys moving around in there.
Mm-hmm.
We'll watch again so you can, because it's important. And look at the border of these red blood cells, right? So you look at their membranes and the light behind them and such, because we're going to do a comparison real quick, and then we'll, or you guys can tell me where you want to go for next image. So that's what blood looks like in a healthy person. Now let's look at what it looks like under someone who's doing some things.
We have a quick question. What was the beautiful white cell that was shiny? Do you know?
I'm not sure what that, I don't think it was, I think that was part of the microscope.
Okay.
I think that was the light from the microscope coming through. So let's look at, so we'll do this one to give you also the imagery of what you don't want your blood to look like. And then we'll use this as a reference. So on the left, this is a 38-year-old smoker. Wow. This is what her blood looked like. So we saw the video before. Each one of these little guys in here, you can see them that look like little pills. Those are red blood cells.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll probably go back to what this is on the right 10 minutes later, momentarily. But the other one to look at, let me see here, we'll close this one, is, where's the vaccinated blood? I don't know if I pulled it off of here. 10 minutes. Give me a moment as I As I find the vaccinated blood slide. Give me a moment here.
No problem.
Is there questions as we pop? As I try to pull more data, as I found a slide that I did not have available to me.
Oh, sugar. Oh, I have that.
No, I've got it here. It's just
okay.
Internet connection. Of course, it has an active internet connection. I'm making sure that all my technology is correctly applied.
That's okay.
Okay, there we go.
I think it's important to note too that as we get into this while Clayton's finding it is that Caroline's blood sample that we just watched, that beautiful picture or video, and the one that Clayton's looking for right now, they are the same magnification in the microscope. It's not that one is magnified separately too.
And you won't, the good part is when you're looking at blood, you're basically looking at the same reference, and we'll probably look at some fragment images in a second from Cleanslate. We might look at a couple other products. Why is it not connecting? Yeah, of course, technology is giving us the issue as we try to do this properly. And
that's okay. So, so just as a little background on cells and how they work with viruses, so I was reading more about this morning. So viruses enter the cell due to molecular camouflage. So they sort of hide themselves and get in there. And that's why the cell doesn't recognize them as being foreign. The cell will actually take the virus and pull it in. That affects cell function. It shuts down the cell. And but cells also have their own immune system. It's called ubiquitin. I was watching, so Caroline was talking about Dr. Bruce Lipton yesterday. So I was on YouTube today just listening to everything he had to say. He's an amazing resource if anybody has questions on how blood works in the body, how cells work in the body. It was really good. Okay, I thought Clay,
I'm having,
that's
for some
okay.
reason, the one image that I want is not coming up. So we're going to move on from it. Basically,
well, I think Jill has it. Jill can bring it up. Or I have it too.
Do you have it?
Throw it up there so you can see what bad blood looks like.
Okay, let me grab it. Let me bring it up on my screen first.
For some reason, WhatsApp does not want to be found.
I have it on my phone, but not on my computer.
Oh, now it does. Hold on here.
Did you get it?
I can say my piece in like 2 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Matt.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Hi. So I want to keep this short because if I say it concisely, it's more impressive.
Excellent.
So what I'm referencing here is a couple books, namely The Fourth Phase of Water by Gerald Pollack, which was better explained to me. This book was better explained to me by Dr. Tom Cowan's books, principally Cancer and the New Biology of Water. But let me go through all these titles real quick. Human Heart, Cosmic Heart, also has to do with structured water. Vaccines, autoimmunity, and the changing. I'm sorry, I'm excited about talking about this, not about
Love
this.
it, Matt. Keep going.
Title: Vaccines, autoimmunity, and the changing nature of childhood illness. Very depressing book. The Contagion Myth, released this year. Good for mental health. Okay, so the assertion here, especially because you talked about membranes, is that the cytoplasm and the gel water that makes up the cytoplasm is critical for cell function, even the expression of DNA through the cytoplasm. So on one side you have the DNA, in the middle you have the cytoplasmic gel water, and then you have the proteins that connect to the DNA through that cytoplasmic gel water. So even with DNA expression, you have that medium of the gel water. But even the sodium potassium pumps might not even exist. Actually, really, they don't even really exist at all. There is a little mechanism, but the real thing evening out the sodium and the potassium on either side of the membrane is the quality of the gel water of the cytoplasm. Now, the way that works is very simple. The gel water is negatively charged. And here's a beautiful picture in this fourth phase water book of how that works. So here we have the way that the water arranges itself in a hexagram, a six-sided figure. This six-sided figure, if you see the math down here, if you take the charge of the atoms on the inside of this hexagram, you'll get these fractional charges of each atom. If you add up these fractional charges, it comes out to a net -1 charge on the inside of the hexagram. Let me clarify what I mean by this shape and how it forms a gel. So here we see it layering itself, and these layers are the fourth phase of water, otherwise known as gel water, which is what really makes up the majority of our cells. And it's this geometry that allows it to be negatively charged. Now we're talking about how pollution is mostly positively charged.
Mhm.
That gets stuck in there and disrupts the negative charge that is essential for the health of the cell. It's that
Perfect.
simple.
That's beautiful, Matt. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Hi, Harry.
Urine is, by the scientific definition, ultrafiltered blood plasma. It is the part of the blood that, when you centrifuge it, is at the top of the centrifuge. You can see that. That's urine right there. When we test it with an ORP meter, which one of our, as we say in the urine therapy community, water sisters, Tukshay, did. She tested the urine with an ORP meter, which tests the charge of the water. Urine is extremely negatively charged, and is possibly a principal mechanism of action for why people in the urine therapy strongly experience and claim the medical benefits of re-ingesting and applying this sacred liquid.
That's
And
awesome.
Harry Matadine was, my apologies, Harry, was one of the first people to write a book about the aged urine. There's actually quite a lot of old books about urine therapy, including the Damar Tantra, which is thousands of years old. But Harry wrote the one about aged urine, and he's a wonderful member of our root community. All right, that's all for now, folks. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Matt. That was so nice. Thank you for jumping in
I
and
love that.
Thank
You
you.
guys, we have something very special right now. We have Caroline
Yes.
is here. So I'm going to ask Caroline to unmute. Caroline is the naturopath that actually took the pictures of these slides, which is amazing. Caroline, can you hear us?
There you go. I can share that now.
Good.
Hey, just hang on a moment. I'm just going to I jumped on last minute. So here we go. Hi. Hi, everybody.
joining us.
I just had a text from Sandy just now saying, can I jump on? So here I am.
Oh, thank
Awesome.
Hi,
you.
everybody.
Thank you so much for joining us. Yes, so you're a naturopath, and you did this live blood analysis, and
Yes.
we're so wonderful to share it yesterday, and I'm so grateful that you're on today. Clayton is bringing up some of the pictures and showing us, but I love it because I'll bet we have some additional questions. And so if you want to, Clayton, do you want to bring that picture back up, the one that you just showed?
I'm going to try and get it to stay while Caroline talks.
Okay.
Okay. This is the picture after the injection. So this was a client of mine who had the AstraZeneca, and he came to me the next day, and I asked him, because usually I do peripheral blood samples, obviously, and I did his peripheral blood sample as well, but this was quite significant because I asked to take it from the injection site, and it wasn't great, as you can see. His red blood cells were very compromised after having the vaccination. So a lot of oxidative stress, and as we're talking about that membrane edge, it's just totally compromised. So the cells will just be not working for him correctly. I did a peripheral blood sample for him as well, and there was a lot of oxidative stress going through his system with his red blood cells. So it was circulating, but it's just it was very significant at the injection site.
Wow. So this would affect the uptake of oxygen too.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, because
and I think that's kind of what we're seeing. That's amazing. Can
there's
you explain how that
250.
would work?
Yeah, so there's 250 molecules, hemoglobin molecules on one red blood cell, and each hemoglobin molecule carries 4 oxygen molecules. So one red blood cell carries 1 billion oxygen molecules. It's quite incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And the cell membrane, we need that omega-6, the unadulterated omega-6, because how does the oxygen get transported from the red blood cell into tissue? And, through studies, it's shown that the omega-6 is really important in that cell membrane to do that transfer into tissue. So if we have an unhealthy cell membrane that's lacking those essential fatty acids, it's not going to be delivering oxygen. And I think this is a lot of the problems when we look at cancers and things, because that oxygen is not getting delivered to tissue. So obviously red blood cells that look like that aren't going to be working well for you at all. Yeah, it's quite disturbing, really.
That's wow.
Yes, that is very disturbing, actually. Clayton, I know we have a video of Caroline's blood before and after Cleanslate. So I'd love to show that because, I think, Caroline, you might be doing some testing on some people after using some, red blood cells that look like what we just saw. And then you're going to work with them, use Cleanslate, and then you're going to be doing some follow-up on that, which is amazing. But
yeah, I know, definitely.
Yeah, you did a little video of your own blood before and after Cleanslate. So Clayton had showed us a little snippet, little video.
Yes.
Yes, but we didn't get to see the after.
Here's the after.
So that was the before, I think.
This is the after.
Oh, this is the after, is it?
Wait a minute. Hold on. I think it did the wrong image. No, that is the after. I don't want to show you that one. I'm taking that one down.
So what we did was we saw more vitality in the blood. So the zeolites do actually emit a charge. That's what I'm hypothesizing they must do, because it's like creating a better vitality within the zeta potential. So the charge is the blood gets charged up. It was definitely charged up within 20 minutes. So it's just moving more.
Okay, so on the left is before.
Caroline, just a quick question. What's that big yellow, white sphere?
Oh, that's the one to the left. That's a neutrophil. Yeah. So neutrophils make up about 80% of the white blood cell count in the circulating blood. So they're the first line of defense for any invading bacteria or viruses that enter the system. And when we're looking at neutrophils, we want them to be lovely. And the cytoplasm I've just heard someone talking about was we want it to be sparkling. It's so pretty when they're active, and they get a bit phased when they're first on the sample. But if you leave them a while, then they start roaming around, because the red blood cells really they move about by themselves, but just through flow. But the white blood cells, the neutrophils, they case the joint. They're going around searching for things to gobble up. That's the phagocytosis.
I have a question on how the white blood cells work, so that's perfect.
Right. I was wrong. Yeah. I thought it was a light. I'm bad.
You know what I see here that I think is absolutely fascinating, because I'm going to assume that these are both at the same speed.
Yes.
When we're not sped up, is the before the blood cells, they look beautiful and plump, but they're kind of slow, and then after, man, they're just getting to work.
Yeah, exactly. They are. There's a charge within the sample, so it's there's just more energy. You can see that they're moving.
Wow. And this is 10 minutes after Cleanslate, correct?
It was 20 minutes after Cleanslate. Yeah, but I'm going to do some more experiments with the samples on different people and myself as well. I was going to do a bit more today. I wanted to see the Cleanslate again on the slide and see if those lines appeared again, obviously, So I'm going to do some more experiments as the week goes on. I just didn't have the time today.
Yes, that's one thing I wanted to ask you real quick while you're here is this will be a hypothesis, so we'll see how it comes out. But looking at the blood sample that we saw after the jab, and we'll look at the lines in just a second, Lori, but the blood sample after the jab, do you have a hypothesis? Do you have an idea or something that you might expect to see if you were to give them some Cleanslate because of what it did to your blood? What you think you might see if you were to give somebody the Cleanslate who just had the jab, and what you might expect to see on their blood sample? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think possibly what we would see is it's going to clean up the blood. So it's going to be removing toxins. So I would presume that we'd see an improved blood sample going forward as they take the Cleanslate. So maybe the initial sample won't be too great, but if we just keep taking their blood, from week to week, we should see improvements. I mean, we don't forget red blood cells last 120 days. There's a 4-month cycle. So the ones that have been affected are going to be taken out anyway. But the toxicity is still within the system. So any new blood cells that get made, they're going to end up probably in the same state. So we need to clean up the terrain, basically, isn't it? From everything as best possible. So we should see improved blood samples as time goes on, taking the Cleanslate. That's what I want to see. And I'm pretty sure I will see that.
So often people ask us, how long should I take Cleanslate? How long will I be taking this product for? But you just said right there, so 120 days for blood cells, right? So it's no less than 120 days that's
ongoing.
That's going to be the absolute positive minimum.
Yeah, definitely.
That's just getting us to the first step, getting past. Yeah.
Well, and that 120-day cycle repeats every 120 days.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the important part of making sure that you're not doing it once for one cycle.
Right.
It's the process of doing it consistently to making sure that your exposure environmentally is inhibited and hopefully decreases over time, that you begin to function much more effectively. Consistently.
Yeah. We don't know how long the toxins stay in the blood as well. It may take longer to get everything out. It may take more than 4 months. And of course, when we've got that much damage, I think the healthy cells, because it's great that the zeolite goes in and takes all the toxins out, but the cell has to be healthy to be able to expel toxins and take in nutrients, so a healthy cell is just as important. That's why I think Restore works alongside the Cleanslate, because we have that sort of nourishing the cells, which is just as important, so the cell can function correctly, as well as the zeolite coming in and taking out. So I think the two products work really well together for the cleanup.
Yes.
Okay, Caroline, one question. Did you take another 0 in today?
Yeah, I didn't take it. I'm so sorry.
Talk about your first experience, though. You got one over the weekend for your first time.
Oh my gosh, that was on the day that we had the call. I was buzzing. Oh my gosh, I was so focused and I had so much energy. And I thought, when am I going to come floating down a bit? It was it wasn't an anxiety or anything. It was just a really nice buzz. And then eventually, probably about 10 o'clock at night, maybe 9 o'clock, I started to come down, and I had to go out and get petrol last night at 11:30 because we've got this petrol crisis going on, and I had 0 on my tank. And I heard a petrol station was open, so everyone raced out to this petrol station. But usually by 11:30 at night, I'm usually zonked, but I still had energy. I was like, whoa, I'm just still going. And then I had such a brilliant sleep, such a deep sleep. So you're right. The two things, it was a really good experience. But I thought, I'm just going to take a day off and I'm going to do it again tomorrow. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Better living through biochemistry. Okay, cool.
I would love to look, while we have Caroline, I would love to see the amazing pictures of light that we have from her sample.
You're reading my mind.
Oh my gosh. Because I know Caroline, you have worked with different zeolites before. So I would like to get your take on what your experience was with this.
Okay, so I've got to be honest, I've never looked at other zeolite products, obviously down the microscope. This is the first time I did it. Mm-hmm. So, but I was just amazed. I really don't know what to say, to be honest. So we need some quantum physicist to give us an answer here, because I've never seen anything become structured on a slide like this. It was just, I haven't got an answer for it. And then the next morning, I left it overnight. The next morning, there it was, even more lines. And then I had that, where's the other picture with the unusual formation?
Oh, that's my favorite. That pretty one.
Yeah. Let's see.
Yeah.
That one. I think it's this one that you want. Oops. Here again. Are we talking this one?
No, it looked like the
mean-
Rainbow Bridge from
Oh,
Yeah, it's at the Rainbow
Thor.
Bridge.
That's the only way I could say it. It looks like the Rainbow Bridge.
Yeah,
let me find
it did. It looked like a bridge above the highway,
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah, anybody who's seen Thor the movies, seriously, it looks like the Rainbow Bridge. And
yeah.
I don't know what the name of it. I'm sorry, my kids are big time that, but I'm not.
We want this
We got
guy.
a pet hypothesis about the lines. Could not be the case though. I could explain it real quick. Don't mind.
Sure.
Yep. Oh, there it
Yes.
is. Oh, it's so
Oh
pretty.
yes, this.
Oh, that's like Starship Enterprise to me.
Yeah.
The head, the front, like.
Beautiful.
So the blue and green is just a fantastic aura color that shows up in many
Yeah.
different mystical traditions.
Exactly, yeah. And the purple, the ultraviolet, to me is
Yeah.
like protective, it's a protective color spiritually,
Oh, isn't ultraviolet light like damaging to cells or like the eyes? There's some worries about that, but then it comes up in these really positive contexts too. I'm wondering.
It does, yeah, exactly, because I think that's the point, ultraviolet, where it can become damaging light. It's at that point, isn't it?
Hmm.
But I don't know, it always comes up as protective as well from the spiritual realm,
Yeah.
surrounding yourself in ultraviolet. So maybe it's just before you get to that point. Beyond
Yeah,
that, I'm
that
not
makes
sure.
a lot of sense because I've heard sort of both. I've heard evidence for both. And then real quick about the lines, sometimes when I hear people talk about quantum, they also talk about scalar energy, which
Yes.
there's, okay, good. There's two things that are associated with scalar energy right off the top of my head. One is that it's a type of energy that is pure voltage without vector. So it's not moving through space, but it's a standing field of power, pure voltage. And it seems to work in a compression and rarefaction in the field. It's really difficult to define fields. I'm not going to try to do that. But this compression rarefaction thing is a product of scalar fields. So if you see a mountain, which has scalar field potential, and then the clouds above that mountain, you'll see these really distinct areas of compression where the cloud is super dense, and then rarefaction where there's hardly any cloud at all. And then another line of compression, and then rarefaction in alternation. And this would be a possible hypothesis explanation for why we see this compression of crystal lines and then rarefaction of the space between those lines. The only thing is with the clouds, it's a very orderly situation where it's like a ring and then another ring. This seems a bit more biologically crazy in its arrangement.
Mm-hmm.
Just like life.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looks like a design. It looks like
Beautiful.
something that was designed.
Oh,
I know, and the
Oh,
Love it. Love it.
Harry might have just provided, without knowing, the most ideal segue he's ever done. So I'm going to share this real quick, and I want to walk through this because Caroline hasn't seen these slides yet. This is the heart rate, one of the case studies for heart rate variability analysis with the NILIS device, which is a very well proven heart rate variability testing system done by Dr. Stefan Rao, who's a PhD virologist, immunologist, medical technologist, leading researcher in the autism spectrum, as well as the microbiome and vitamin D. And this is his test of a case study. This is after 120 minutes. But what's important to look at with this is a couple things. Actually, this is just restore. I'm going to fast forward a little bit. We don't want just the restore one. We want fun with both.
There's a video of all this on the Root channel.
There is. So this is, as you can see, using 10 drops of Cleanslate, 1 sachet of restore, and 2 capsules of 0N. And we're looking at a 20-minute difference between the baseline analysis, taking 10 drops, 2 capsules, 1 sachet of restore, waiting 20 minutes and doing a follow-up. So just the same that Caroline did with her blood 20 minutes apart, taking 10 drops of Cleanslate. This is using Trinity. But what's important to understand with this, when we go into the conversation of what's happening in people that are being injected and those that are being exposed, when you talk about the inflammation, you talk about the effects on the cardiovascular system, as well as your overall well-being, stress levels and such, and where also Caroline was talking about improved sleep. You can see here in the middle that just in 20 minutes, you see these changes that using the Trinity leads to less stress. It leads to improved cardiovascular function. It improves brain function and brain activity. Your overall feelings of wellness improve. Your psycho-emotional condition improves. You'll sleep better. So when we look at the heart rate variability, just really quickly, this is what's really important, because some people will question the use of caffeine, right? Because 0N has 100 milligrams of anhydrous caffeine in it. What's interesting is caffeine is a stimulant per se, right? If all caffeine is the same, yet when you take a capsule, I think this was 2 capsules, right? 2 capsules of 0N, which is 200 milligrams of anhydrous caffeine, you might see a difference in their heart rate. Right here, you don't. What you do see is a shift in their heart rate variability and their rhythm. It improves. It is not a stimulant, because if it was a stimulant, you would see their heart rate change. You see almost identical rates. You see improvements there. But I want to hit on what Harry was talking about, the energetic component, which is so crucial. And this is a real cool part too, is you had a 61-year-old male that was doing the test. His biological age as the baseline was 53, which is pretty good. You know, he's 8 years younger biologically than he is chronologically. Well, 20 minutes later, he was functioning as a 32-year-old.
Wow.
Wow.
That is statistically significant. But when we go through the psycho-emotional aspect, we get to the energetics, and this is where you get into the energy of these crystals and what happens on a quantum basis, and what Harry was touching on and what Matt was touching on with how your body starts to restructure. And you see this in Caroline's blood work as well, that you see those red blood cells, they start to glow brighter. They're moving more efficiently. Even though she's already really healthy, you see improvements. So you can see the baseline here of what the aura looks like of this 61-year-old before. Then you see the aura 20 minutes later. As Harry was touching on, we are an expression of light. That's why our cells, our bodies communicate. That's why you can walk into a room and meet someone that you've never met before and feel like you already know them, because your energy signatures and your frequencies are already resonating.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you become a better expression. So when we look at the Chinese meridians, right? These are all the major Chinese meridians, and you can see the outside of the chart here. And this is the expression that this individual was having of their meridians. You can see that they're not in balance. You see 28%, 35, 45, 13. There's a little bit of kidney disruption there. You know, liver is at 34, lungs at 48. And then you look at 20 minutes later, and everything is around the outside, almost perfectly balanced. And you can see 92, 86, 100. Kidneys went from 13 to 99. I'm pretty sure that's an improvement.
Literally 17 minutes later.
Mhm.
You have to
Wow.
do the math.
You know,
Um,
I think it's important that a lot of people don't know, going back to light and the light and our auras is actually in Hebrew, the word light can be interchanged with spirit. So whenever you read in Genesis 1, God said, let there be light. That means all aspects of light. But then whenever he clothed humans and they said, I'm naked in Hebrew, whenever they did that, they were actually in their spirit body and he gave them flesh to protect themselves. So that's what the Hebrew literally means is our skin actually wraps our spirit. It wraps our light in to keep us safe so that Jesus could come and die on the cross and everything to redeem us of our sins. So that's very, very important biblically. But it's important that because whenever we see that in these slides and everything with our auras, that's our spirit man inside of our human flesh that the Lord protected us by giving us the human body. And so whenever we see that, what the evilness in the world is doing is trying to suppress our ability to have our spirit be like the Lord. And so all these heavy metals and these antennas, all the viruses and everything, they are attacking and they are cutting down the light that is our spirit to be able to express that, to show people the Lord. So
Yes, ma'am.
that's really cool.
Yeah.
So I just
I
wanted to
love
say
that. I love that. You know, I think a couple of months ago, at the beginning of this whole crisis, and I was really concerned about what was going on. And I feel like I get messages in the early hours of the morning from my guides or whatever you want to call them. And this message came through. It was saying that your sword is your light and we are your shield. And it was just so beautiful. And I suddenly realized my light, being my energy, my light, that is our sword in this time on earth right now with all this darkness going on, and the shield, we're protected, if we're following our light,
yes.
We're connecting with our divinity. And it was just such a beautiful message. And I've been sharing that with as many people as possible because I think it's really important. It just touches on exactly what you're saying.
Oh, yes. And that's perfect.
Yeah.
That's the armor of God in Ephesians 6. I mean, that is identical to it. I love that, Caroline. I love that.
I know. I was just so happy when I got that message. I was like, oh my gosh, that's it now. I just got to keep my vibration high and everything's going to be fine. I just need to tell everybody. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. I love that.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
we are coming, not to cut that short because I absolutely love it, but I know that we only have a few minutes left. So I want to ask Caroline a question.
Yes.
So would you say, because we titled this How to Restructure Your Blood, would you say that Cleanslate, from what you've seen, helps restructure the blood?
I would say that it would definitely work to restructure the blood from what I've seen. And I'm just excited to be able to prove that further with the more tests that I do. Just through what I've seen, the little bit I've seen, I would say definitely.
I love that.
I'd like to throw in the water is probably an antenna that tunes into these fields.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And we're probably more like 99% water than 70% because it's probably like we're 70% water by weight, but because the oxygen and the hydrogen are some of the lightest atoms out there, we're 99% water by total number of molecules, 70% by weight. Yeah.
But what kind of water?
Highly structured gel water. In fact, there's this very
used with trace minerals.
Salt water.
Yeah, I've been wondering about how this the trace minerals bind and what these binding sites are really like. Clayton would love clarification on that in the future. But yes, of course, it's salt water. Yes, yeah, I'm sure there's a biblical correlation with that, isn't there?
There is. In the book of, have you read the Zodiac, the tissue salts, and how that relates to the Zodiac signs and how it all goes back to biblical times?
I've got a primer on it. I don't know much.
There's a really good book because this is what I was, when we're talking about silica and how that's like the surgeon of the body. Each 12 tissue salts has a function and they do jobs for us, and this goes back
silica
to...
is Sagittarius, right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Well, I got a little bit of that.
There you go.
Yeah.
But that's such a fascinating read, when we're talking about all the minerals and how important they are as well. Yeah.
Cool.
Which is great because it's in Cleanslate. And I was like, wow, they've even thought of that as well.
And I've heard from Santos Bonacci that we can start to produce our own cell salts if we have a clean body.
Right, yeah. And what is it? Is it Kali Salt? I think it's the one that produces the oil within the body.
Sacred fluids?
Yeah, so when we're dry, we tend to think, we've got to put oil on or what have you, or take oil. But if we just take the Kali Salt, then our body starts to produce that oil. So
yes.
We are actually our own factory. We can produce our own what we need.
I love that. Our body gives us what we need if we give it what it needs. And that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing here is we're cleaning up our environment so that our body can do what it was created to do. And that's, it's very simple. It really is very simple.
I don't need half as much food after I start a clean slate.
Yeah. Your body doesn't need it. It's not like you're starving either. Your body doesn't because it's actually absorbing nutrients and getting what it needs, and you're not craving because your body's satisfied.
And you
we do have a quick question if we could see restore on the slide because I know. Yeah.
I can do that. Hold on. Allow my technical prowess to come